This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask with your host, Dr. Judith Briles, on the Rockstar Radio Network. On the show today, you'll find out where book publishing is going and how to take advantage of it. How to identify and avoid publishing predators. What opportunities are emerging as the book trade evolves in new forms. How to avoid losing money, and much, much more. Join us now as a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take the author to the next level of publishing. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by Author You and the Book Shepherd on the Rockstar Radio Network. And now, here's your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, top of the day to everybody. We have a jam-packed show today. I thought it would be really important to really probe some of the basics, because that's what really your guide to book publishing is all about. And it's not just about books. I mean, writing the book, of course, publishing the book, of course, but there's all these other ingredients that goes in this book stew. And one of those ingredients is really dealing with the overall presentation, who you are, what you are, how you come across, how people find you. In other words, what's that resume? What's that bio look like? Well, years ago, I had been on, and my guest was really, she didn't know it, but really responsible for me starting my own publishing house. During that time, I was a bona fide, superior class book snob. I thought that the only way, the truly only way legitimate author was published was with New York, or a New York type publisher, because some of these big publishers are also based out of New York, but they're all connected. And I got a call. I had booked a speaking gig in the state of Washington, and I got a call from their marketing people saying, we're really looking forward to having you, and we'd like to get some copies of your book, which I can't even remember the title of it at the time, but it was about kids and money. And when we would like to get, 1,000 copies. And I said, internally, I said, gulp, because you see, dear listener, I had just taken back the rights of this book. And I knew that there were only 60 copies in existence. But I said, and this is where most authors, and especially women, this is a real gender issue that comes into play, that where someone will say, well, gee, they're not available and we can't do it. I said, sure. And they also said that, do you think you could arrange a discount with the publisher? And I said, I'm sure I could. Meanwhile, I had to now have a conversation with the plant in my office to decide what the publisher was going to charge, what were we going to call the publisher, and I was now going to become a publisher. I then asked the client what was their budget, and they gave me a number, and I said, sure. So I said, I think that we could probably work with that. So what I had to do, the gig was about, 4 months away. I had to learn so fast forward the other side of publishing, where I had been basically taken care of in the old days when they took care of you, to now becoming a publisher, how to do it, where to do it, get a name. I had to find out layout people, and you know what? Guess what? I had to rewrite this book. And because it had to be updated and do things, and John and I, hubby John, we had booked, I thought it'd be kind of a fun thing, I carry a high mast schooner trip. And I thought, okay, I'll rewrite the book there because I've always written around water. And then I proceeded to find people who had layout experience. And it turned out the layout person I found had actually laid out a couple of my books with one of my publishers, which was now with John Wiley, but it was Josie Bass. And she was here located in Denver. And then I found, by tracking, someone who could do cover design. And then we came up with Mile High Press. And I was able to negotiate enough, basically, to print. I found a short-run printer. I paid more than what I would have paid today because I know a lot more. But I was able to negotiate enough that I could get 2,000 books for the price that the client was paying for 1,000. That started Mile Eye Press, and I never, ever, ever looked back. So my guest today was the person who was involved in that PR routine for that gig in Washington back 12 years ago. And Nancy Juetten is amazing. She is all about broadcasting your brilliance. She's a storyteller. She does a fabulous workshop that I encourage you all to get to. And we're going to talk about her company, Authentic Visibility, because this is what Nancy is all about. Nancy is authentic, and she knows how to get you out there in front of people, but she knows how to show you how to do it yourself. She has a phenomenal program called Bye Bye Boring Bio Plus, and this is what this is about. We're going to deep dive today into creating that bio that rocks the boat, that really will soar you ahead of the crowd, that is not yawn boring. And with that, Nancy, welcome to Your Guide to Book Publishing.
Judith, it's fabulous to be here. Thanks for the wonderful introduction.
Did you know the rest of the story?
No, I didn't. You were grace under pressure as far as I could tell.
And the rest of it was when we were on this ship, is guess what? There was no electricity. And so here I had this computer and plugging in. It was wild, this generator we had to rig up. And we were out in off of the shores of Maine, and there was this big, oversized yacht. And it actually had a helicopter that came and landed on it. And I was fantasizing getting on a dinghy and going over and say, do you mind if I plug in so I can recharge my computer and work? And you know whose yacht it was? It was Steve Forbes. I mean, oh my God, what an adventure. And I've never told that story.
Well, I'm glad I got to be witness to it today.
All right, so you're going to tell us about, really, your whole thing about it's your story, but you need to tell it well, bottom line.
Yeah.
So why do authors struggle with writing their own stories? I mean, we all do get stuck. I mean, for me, when I used to get those author bios from publishers I work with and they said, write all this up, I went, oh, gulp, I hate this part. So get us over the hate factor.
Well, let's say this first, is that if you're an author and you've written a book, you obviously have some confidence over the power of the pen to create a book. So good for you. I think the reason people struggle so much telling their stories or writing them down, it's a variety of things. Some of it is maybe you were told as a kid not to brag about yourself. You have attitudes around, shameless self-promotion. It could be that you're not really clear what you want people to do as a result of reading about you, and so you're all over the board without being specifically focused on the outcome that you want. It could be that your career is this long and checkered past of a whole bunch of interesting things that you can't quite find a way to weave together in a way that tells a story that you feel really proud of, and so that has you stopping short. I talk to clients all the time, and they say, Nancy, I'm suffering from the bio cringe. My bio needs emergency resuscitation. Can you take this from boring and blah, blah to something a whole lot better? And of course I can, and you can too. I think the most important thing to think about is what do you want people to do as a direct result of reading about you? Because if you're inviting the interest of a publisher, what do you want that publisher to do? If you're trying to enlist the interest of someone who will buy your book, well, that's a story of a completely different color. And while it seems really basic to ask this question, I'm saying to you, what do you want that story to do for you? Because every word that you use needs to help achieve and support that objective. Otherwise, it's just wallpaper.
Exactly. And you know what? I do think when you say that there is that momism, and one of the momisms, and really interesting, girls heard it more, that don't brag, don't be braggy, give other. And I think it's important to give other people credit. But what I've always said is if you don't take credit for your work, by God, other people will. And Nancy, that's how I started writing. When Art Buchwald took my ideas and published them in his column. That was the genesis of my first book that I wrote in '79.
Wow. Well, there's one other little tidbit that just occurred to me is that some people don't like to sell, and I totally get that. And yet a lot of people who are creating books are transformational authors. They're here to make their mark in the world, to change perspectives, change ideas, make the world a better place. And so to the extent that you can share who you are from a deep place of service to support that transformation, that totally changes the feeling and the flavor of the story so that people can say, yeah, that's a mission worth fighting for, and I can't wait to support it. That's another way to get over that hump.
Well, on that transformational, we have about 2 minutes to our first break here, but in that transformational side, is there one or two little hints that you can do to leap them forward, and then we'll get into some of the mistakes that the authors do make?
Well, decide what you need right now. Do you need to attract clients, speaking gigs, media interviews, or the interest of a publisher? Decide what you need right now. Make sure that what you put on paper supports that objective. The second step would be reflect. Who is your ideal client? What are the stunning results that you bring about to create that transformation? And what are the points of differentiation that set you apart and make you the most remarkable athlete to deliver that wow? If you do those two things and spend some serious time really reflecting, you will nail who you are, how you deliver the wow, and the wow that you deliver to the point that people can't wait to buy it, engage with you, have you come and speak, and make your difference in the world. So first, decide what you need right now, reflect on the who, the how, and the wow, and then when we come back from the break, we can go into the other 3 steps to this 5-step system so people will really feel prepared to prepare and share their story and prosper in the spotlight.
Wow, do I love that phrase, the who and the how and the wow. And so listeners, here's what you're getting from Nancy, and you can hear that, is that when you look at the way she restructures the bios and works with her clients, she really does things in bullet points. And you have to get that. That's the way that the people in America and across the world read today, they understand today. Grab them fast. I'm Judith Briles. You're listening to Your Guide to Book Publishing. We're going to be right back.
This is Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Is there a book in you or another? Author U will show you how to create, develop, and publish your book without being hoodwinked. If you already have a book out, you'll find a supportive and brainstorming community that's connected and creative no matter where you live. Author U brings in national experts for its book camps and annual author extravaganza held each May. It has regular meetings and delivers webinars for its members on timely topics. Through Author U's extensive network, members enjoy exclusive benefits, including significant discounts for a variety of services necessary to publishing. The Resource, its online book publishing news magazine, is content-heavy and it's free. If you want to create a book that has pizzazz, punch, and panache, Author U is for you. If you're a hobbyist or a casual author, it's not. Join Author U today through its website at authoru.org. Follow Author U on Twitter at AuthorU and on Facebook at Author U, where timely author and publishing tips and articles are posted daily. Author U, where the author goes to become seriously successful.
Change the way you publish online. WaveCloud is a new form for authors to manage all their books' information in one place from start to finish, including pricing and listing summary. To learn more or sign up for email updates, visit wavecloud.com.
Every picture tells a story. And it's a truism that people do judge a book by its cover. Nick Sellinger and NZ Graphics have been in the business of producing superior graphic cover design and interior layout for self-published authors, independent and traditional publishers for years. He has developed a reputation for excellent work, fast turnarounds, and best of all, affordable pricing. NZ Graphics also produces ebooks and book marketing materials such as posters, sell sheets, postcards, bookmarks, business cards, logos, and more. Books designed for his clients have won multiple book awards, including Best Book Award by U.S. Book News, multiple Evie Awards from the Colorado Independent Publishers Association, Indie Book Awards, the San Francisco Book Festival Award, and Freedom Medal Award from Valley Forge. Visit www.nzgraphics.com or call 303-985-4174 for more details about making your book the success it should be. Mention that you are an FOJ, friend of Judith's, and that you heard about NZ Graphics on your guide to book publishing.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Oh, my guest today is the amazing Nancy Juetten, and she runs a fabulous company called Authentic Visibility, and that's authenticvisibility.com, where you can check her out and what's going on. And I will encourage you to go in, because there's a variety of goodies that you can pick up if you go into authenticvisibility.com/author U, the letter U, bio, and we'll have some treats for you to check out. So that's authenticvisibility.com/author U bio. Now, we were talking about some of the things about how Nancy was saying you've got the who, the how, and the wow. And then I added on that it's well, I was telling her offline that I always tell the authors I work with that you've got to think, you've got to be snappy, sassy, and salty in some of your comments. And that really does work with the media, doesn't it, Nancy?
Oh, absolutely, because if you're not memorable, remarkable, and compelling, chances are you're boring, blah, 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 and boilerplate. And given the choice between one and the other, what are you going to do? Blah, blah, blah never kicks the ball to the finish line. You got to have some sass to it, and that's why speaking in sound bites, whether you're speaking on a radio or using language on a bio that speaks your truth, if it reads like wallpaper and it sounds like wallpaper, it's in the background and not in the forefront. And you want to be in the forefront so people will be taking an interest in what you have to say and the value you're here to bring.
Well, that's exactly right. This week I'm working with one of my clients from Australia who is in town in my offices for 3 days. And one of the things that his message, there really isn't anything new about it. But he is compelling. He has some remarkable stories, and that's what will make him stand out to get their attention. Because truth be told, there is not a heck of a lot of new stuff out here. But what there is stuff is that can come to you with a twist.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, so let's jump into what are some of those mistakes that these authors make when they write their bios? What are the big ones that you just consistently see besides the blah, 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 blah?
Well, the biggest one is not being clear what you want the reader, the listener, or the viewer to do. I can't tell you how many times I've seen bios that say author, speaker, coach at the top of the page. I'm an author, speaker, coach. And I think to myself, who cares? What kind of an author, speaker, coach are you? Because, I started my business with a desire to earn enough money to buy better groceries, and pretty soon I got too busy to cook. So when I see people say author, speaker, coach, what goes through my mind is, oh, bread, eggs, and milk. Generic descriptors that don't say anything at all about the wow that you offer. And if your bio starts with a generic label, I want you to stop, go back, and rewrite it so that it sounds sassy and salty. I'll give you an example. One of my colleagues is a financial planner, and when she introduces herself out in the world, she says, I work with women over 50 to make sure their money lasts as long as they do.
That gets your attention.
And it's like, okay, I know who you serve and what ultimate result I'm going to get if you're the one showing me the way. Who you serve and the ultimate result that you get is a really great recipe for something to put at the top of your story. Here's another one. Provocative, media-savvy relationship coach guides viewers to welcome love fast. She says what she does and what the outcome is.
You know, I think that one of the exercises I gave at the Author You Extravaganza, and I do want to bring you in as one of our presenters at our extravaganza, in the next year or two. And one of the things that I said, I wanted everyone to describe themselves in Twitter. And so I threw up to me and I said, so here, I said, I'm going to describe myself in about 75 characters, and that includes spaces. And here it is. I am a blunt, butt-kicking book coach and publishing advisor.
Very good.
And that's
Very
it.
Good.
No, you've got to, you get the coach in there, but you've got to have the adjectives to say, if you want to work with someone who will get in your face and tell you the truth, I'm a good person to do it. If you want something that is going to just kind of let you mull all around and not get you to the gate a lot sooner, I'm not the right person.
Well, and let's just be clear about this. This is an interesting economy, and some would say it's more slowly recovering than any that we've remembered in our lifetime. If you have money to invest in a service provider like a book coach to get your book out of your head and onto paper, do you want to work with someone that's going to tell you the truth and get you to bestseller status fast, or do you want to work with someone who's going to lovingly pull the book out of you whether or not it does anything for your business or not? I think when people want to whip out their wallet to engage service providers, they want to be convinced that there's an ultimate result from which they can get return on investment for the fine dollars that they've invested. So always suggest that the how that you're delivering that wow and the ultimate result that's going to happen for people when they take action on what they learn. Because if people aren't motivated to do this thing that you do, they're not going to be a great engagement anyway. So you want to get the right people under the tent and guide them to the yellow brick road to prosperity or whatever that transformation it is that you provide, because that's what gets people to spend money. And I think that this, your bio isn't like wallpaper, like I keep saying. It has to be, if someone reads it and says, wow, I want to know more, you've nailed the message right on the head. And if you're not leaning in and saying, tell me more, chances are you're having a run, Forrest, run in the opposite direction reaction, and that's not a good thing.
Well, that's one of the issues, Nancy, that really does come along where I see them when I work with on their back covers for their books. Because I think marketing, and I actually think in bullet points. So my attitude is by that third bullet point, that book is sold. That reader is saying, oh my God, this is me, or this will solve my problem. And if I can get that across, I've done my job. But I see too many of these book covers that are so namby-pamby. They're your blah, blah, blah scenario. And I don't get why the authors don't get it, why they keep going along these old models.
Well, I think because they haven't discovered you. That would be one. because here's what happens. And just think about your own behavior in the bookstore. You go to the bookstore and you see a book on the shelf, and what attracts you initially to that book is what the cover looks like and the title. The title probably reached out and grabbed you by the tail and said, wow, I'm interested in that. So you're reading the cover, you're reading the title, you're flipping over to the back, because in the back there's probably some wonderful comment about what reviewers have said, that it's an amazing book that you just can't put down. And maybe there's some provocative piece of information about the author that just has you falling in love right out of the box with the first 2 lines of text. if that's the case, they're probably going to reach over to the table of contents to see what that's all about. And if they like that, you're in. They're going to put it in the basket. And whether or not they read the book, that's not your problem. Many people buy books and they sit on the shelf, and who knows what happens to them after that. But I was looking at this book on my shelf here called The Purse-Driven Life. It really is all about me. The author is Anita Renfro, and it's so much fun. She says, this book will have you driving off the road, chuckling out loud in public places, and telling your girlfriends you found the perfect gift for every woman on your gift list. Then it says, described as a shot of espresso in a decaf world, Anita Renfro unleashes her distinctive brand of musical comedy to packed-out venues across the United States. She makes her home in Atlanta, et cetera, et cetera. But it's like, if she's a shot of espresso in a decaf world, okay, sign me up. This really interested me. I bought this book just based on what it said on the back of the cover.
Exactly.
So don't wimp out on the back of the cover. If you've got personality, pack it in.
Absolutely, but what you're just doing is exactly what I do with our clients and the workshops I do, because the reality is it is the pitch. The book cover, the front of the cover just says, "Pick me up." Hey, pick me up. I got your attention, and now the real sales happens. And so all you read about Anita is that snappy, sassy, salty. She got us to pay attention. We smiled. I want this book. I'm going to carry it around with me. What I'll do, the next thing I do is I just kind of scan it. Does it visibly look like the print? I can read the damn print, and that kind of thing, and you get into it. But that's exactly what you're talking about. So you are right on it. So mistake number one is that they just don't come out with being blunt and forceful and telling it like it is.
Yeah, I think that people want to know what it is and enjoy it. And if you're dancing on if you're going through life or going through your book with your big toe leading the way, chances are you're not getting very wet. And either you're all in or you're not. That's what I think.
All right.
So be the very best you that you can be.
All right. Now, we've got about 15 seconds. Do you have a quick one you can get out, or do you want to wait till we come back? Well, we have 10 seconds. Do you want to wait till we come back after our break?
Ponder this. Prove your value and impact. I'll tell you how when we come back.
Perfect. So we're going to prove your value. So they say, I want to work with this person. I want to hear this person. I want to come and attend their workshops. I want to read their stuff. I'm Judith Briles, and we'll be right back with Nancy Juetten and Authentic Visibility.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Since 1987, Color House Graphics has set the standard for quality book production. Whether you decide to print a small quantity of books or need a large print run, depend on Color House to help you. You'll receive professional help and advice the moment you reach one of our representatives. If you mention hearing about us on your guide to book publishing with Judith Briles, we will provide you with a discount on the first order you place. To speak with a project manager, call us toll-free at 800-454-1916 or visit us at www.colorhousegraphics.com.
Do you need postcards that make a statement? How about business cards, flyers, brochures, or NCR forms? Tuvets is the solution for all your printing needs. Providing services specially designed for authors, we deliver exceptional quality colored printing. Most important of all, we specialize in reducing your printing costs. No more waiting. No more standing in lines at your local printer. Online proofing. With our pricing tools calculator, you can get instant quotes on all your printing products, as well as shipping rates all over the United States. Just a few clicks of the mouse and you're on the way to discovering how easy and convenient online color printing should be. Contact our friendly, human account representatives. We recognize that you want answers, not voice prompts. Visit our website at www.tu-vets.com or call 1-800-894-8977.
When Ned Thompson and Harry Shore started Thompson Shore in 1972, they believed employees with great character would make up the best company. They were right. They hired people who were not only experts in bookmaking, but who were obsessed with quality and delivering exceptional customer service. Almost 40 years later, Thompson Shore remains a 100% employee-owned company. Ned and Harry knew that successful customer projects are a direct result of empowered employees. We specialize in all books for large and small publishers. Creating beautiful and well-made books, we're dedicated to pleasing our customers by making the experience a good one from start to finish. The personal touch we have with our customers allows us to be innovative in solving their most difficult challenges. Our platform also ensures that we can remain flexible to meet our customers' unique needs and expectations. Our marketing kit can create buzz for your title, enhancing the promotion of your book during infancy. When you need to test the market to gauge your future sales, we can provide digitally printed books that will transition seamlessly into a larger offset run. From ebook to hard copy to delivery, our skillful customer service teams are at the ready to answer your most pressing question. At Thompson Shore, we know that making the highest quality books requires more than just best technologies. It requires superior customer service, professionalism to the trade, and commitment to environmental and social values. With these standards of excellence in place, you can be sure that we will always help you put your best book forward.
Welcome back to Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. Coming up, you'll hear more about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, as we went to the break, Nancy gave us a little tease on what we were going to do when we come back on proving. So you're on again, Nancy.
Great. Well, the first step is decide what you need right now. The second is to reflect the who, the how, and the wow. So the third step is to prove your value and impact. And what I mean by that, there's a lot of ways you can do it. There's your credentials, your experience, the awards you've won, the recognition you've earned. It could be the media credits where you've been showcased. And it could also be the testimonials of real clients who say sassy, provocative, and salty things that really speak your wow in language that you never could have chosen yourself. This happens all the time. Someone said to me the other day, Nancy, before I met you, I was suffering from the bio cringe, and now I have bio pride and all the clients I can count. Thank you so much. So when someone that has worked with you says something like that, you just want to harvest that and put it as a sassy soundbite at the top of your story, so when people land there, they know that it's not just you saying, I'm amazing, I'm fabulous, I'm terrific. It's clients who have sat at your feet to benefit from your transformation that are saying those things in a way that you never could have found the words to say it yourself.
Yeah,
it's very persuasive.
It's critical to do that. In fact, on my Book Shepherd website, thebookshepherd.com, I have a rotating scrolling at the very top upper right of all those kind of things of comments people have sent in about working. And you're right. You're not going to write up. Number one, you get tired of thinking of this stuff, but that just let them do it and put their name on it. And we just added their book, actually the cover of their book with it too. So it's you've got the credential of the author with the finished product. You've got their words, and you keep it going, and you let them do the work for you.
Well, and here's something else that's a really fun, I'm all about helping people to get seen, heard, celebrated, and compensated. And there's a lot of different ways to be compensated, and psychic compensation counts for a lot. And here's what I mean by that. There are a lot of people that struggle with, what's my brand, what am I about, what's my wow anyway? And when you know that you've made a big difference for your client, if you say to them, I'm really struggling with, I'm really working on upping my brand, and I would so love to know the 5 words or phrases that come immediately to mind when you think about the impact I made on your business. Could you just send me a quick email without thinking too much about it? I would be so grateful. When they send that back to you, your heart will just beat out of your chest with pride, because yes, you will get some blah, blah, blah boring words like really nice to work with, a pleasure to be with in every way. These kinds of comments are okay, but not that fabulous. But you'll get other things on the other side, like she puts the pizzazz in your message. She's a human exclamation point on a mission to make you look like a rock star. People say these things in words that you never would have found, and so you think to yourself, okay, those are words that you can weave into your book jacket, your bio, your radio introduction, when you get introduced in front of a live audience to speak. One person said about this about me. She said, Nancy Juetten's like self-esteem in a can. She takes the very best of you, sprays it out for the world to see. You look better, you feel better, and you're even more amazing than you ever thought you possible, just like that. It's like, I never could have said that. But she said it, and I thought, you know what, if she said it, it must be true, so I'm going to use it, and I'm going to use it again and again. And it always brings a wink and a grin when people hear it, but it also says something about what it is that I do for people and the kind of transformation that happens. And I think that's how testimonials and media credits and these kinds of things can really work to our advantage, because they speak our wow in ways that maybe we couldn't have said on our own. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, and that's what's critical. Let the, it's like the fingers do the walking. Let the others do the talking.
I love that.
All right, so you talk about some of the things that that we authors should consider before we really put pen to paper when we do write our bios, and anything in addition to what you've already said there.
Well, after you've proved your value and your impact, it's time to add your personality. And this, there's lots of ways you can do that.
Personality.
And so I call them the 4 S's: succinct stories, sassy sound bites, social information to get people to that know, like, and trust place fast, and what's the other one? It'll come to me in just a minute. But let me tell you what the succinct story is.
Okay.
One of my clients is a color expert. She knows about color. If you need to paint your house inside or out, she can help you just choose the exact perfect color of red or taupe that will be absolutely fantastic. It's a special skill. It's very highly trained. And I thought, well, how did you come to this skill of being a color expert? She said, when I was 9 years old, my parents gave me a box of Crayola 64 crayons, and even then I knew that 64 colors was not going to be enough. I love that.
I love that too.
Because it's not something she just does for the money. It's something she's doing because she loves it and has loved it all her life. I'm a publicist, and I have been for a long time, and people have to be able to trust me with their secrets and know that I will only share them when it's appropriate. I could certainly say I know how to keep a secret, but what I often say is when I was 9 years old, I figured out how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop, and I've never told a soul. Your secret's safe with me. And this is what happens. People wink and they grin and they go, oh, she's adorable, and I trust her immediately. So another sassy soundbite could be something like, people hire me for my head, trust me for my heart, and value me most when I use both. This is my husband's sassy soundbite at the top of his website. He's a certified financial planning professional. They're not allowed to use testimonials. They're not allowed to suggest proof of claims, but they're allowed to speak their philosophy in a way that turns ahead and says, wow, that guy sounds like someone I'd like to talk to. And if that's the only thing you knew about him, that he was a fee-only financial planner with a certified financial planning designation and that he had that philosophy, would that be enough for you to say, you know what, tell me more. I'm looking for someone just like that. Yeah. So that's what a sassy soundbite can do for you.
Perfect. And it is that tell me more, deliver me more, I need more. And that's where that comfort level comes in, that the relationship building is all about when you're working with people.
Well, and, you know, this know-like trust thing, one of the biggest mistakes people make is when they're so gosh darn arrogant. They'll say, I am an award-winning, best-selling, highly acclaimed whatever I am, and you should hire me. But if you don't put any proof to demonstrate why those claims are true, it just sounds like puff. And it's like if either the emperor has clothes or he doesn't. But if people, if you want to say, one of my clients said to me, I'm a best-selling author. And because I like to do the right thing, I said, well, I just would like to know, can you tell me how many books have you sold? She said, I've sold 300 books.
Ouch.
And I said, you know what? You're aspiring to be a best-selling author, and you're making it happen one book and one volume purchase at a time.
Yeah. That
is true. Because if you want to fib about whatever it is that you're doing out there, do so at your own peril, because with Google search engine out there, your fibs will be found out. And what does that say about your brand, your reputation, and the mission that you're on? Tell the truth in your own memorable, remarkable way, and stand in and on your story without saying things that are untrue or arrogant or boring or filled, or too all about you. I guess that's... Did you ever see that movie Bull Durham with Kevin Costner?
Of course.
Well, I love this scene in the movie where Nuke LaRouche comes back from the baseball junket and he gets in the car with this gorgeous Susan Sarandon character, and he says, I didn't hit the ball well. I couldn't find my groove. I really didn't have a great time. Every sentence he said started with I. So she turns to him and she says, I. What about me? Aren't I pretty? Aren't you glad to see me?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. Well, I think also, and we're coming up to our break, and I think Dave Raymond is going to join us for a couple of minutes from Thompson Shore. But I think that what's really important is that authors also need to define what success is, and to be a successful author. And what's a best-selling author? That to me, being successful doesn't mean that you're New York Times. It could be that you've got all the media exposure that you wanted. It could be that you are selling books off the back of the room that rock. It could be that you've got credibility that you never would have had. I mean, we have to define what success is, and that's where your work, that authentic visibility, is so important, so critical. I'm Judith Briles. My guest this hour is Nancy Juetten of AuthenticVisibility.com. We're going to be right back.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Writing and reading are moving to the cloud. WaveCloud represents a whole new community for writers and readers to connect, communicate, evaluate, and share. Writers hone their craft and build their business. Readers build their favorites. Sign up for updates at wavecloud.com.
The book shepherding concept is simple. The publishing world is changing, and so must you. You need an experienced shepherd and a guide to partner with you as you create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve your publishing goals. You can't do it alone without paying the price. You can spend your money creating a book that turns out to be so-so, or you can create a book that looks and feels classy, builds your brand, and is a financial success, a bestseller. It's your choice. You choose. You need the book shepherd. Publishing is riddled with obstacles, sometimes nightmares for the author. You don't need problems. You want solutions. Dr. Judith Briles will shepherd you through the maze and the chaos. At times, she's had to step in and rescue a book that has been sabotaged by a publisher or by a publishing service provider, or sometimes even the author themselves. Judith Briles is the book shepherd if you want to create a book with no regrets. Give her a call today, 303-885-2207. That's 303-885-2207, or email her at judith@briles.com. By the way, Briles is spelled B-R-I-L-E-S. Follow Judith on Twitter at My Book Shepherd and on Facebook at The Book Shepherd.
At Total Printing Systems, customer service is our priority. We are located in Southern Illinois. Our employees have an average of 18 years experience and know that customer relationships are important to our continued success. We have been a short-run book printer for nearly 40 years and always stay at the forefront of technology. Our niche is from 1 to 5,000 copies. Today, we offer digital, black and white, and 4-color high-speed inkjet printing, a cost-effective way to introduce color into your short-run titles. We, of course, offer traditional offset printing as well. Bindery is done in-house, from adhesive case binding to PUR perfect binding to mechanical binding of all types, including side sewing. We provide warehousing, kitting, distribution, inventory management, a new print-on-demand facility, streaming browser-based ebooks, and bookstore. Call us at 1-800-465-5200 for a quote on your next book project. You can also visit our website at www.tps1.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Bring on one of our sponsors at the bottom of the hour, and our Dave Raymond with Thompson Shore was so busy working with another client, we had to move it to the next segment. So Dave's with us for a few minutes, and he's going to talk about some hardcover, case-bound options. Hi, Dave. How are you?
Good, Judith. How are you doing today?
Excellent. I'm excellent. So what's new in book covers?
Well, I just want to talk about some options that publishers choose when they're deciding on what type of cover they want to put on their hardbound books.
Okay.
There's some options that can save money and to decorate. One of the more common options is to gold foil or silver foil, or there's many options of color of foils that you use to stamp the front and spine of the book. And that option can actually make a hardback book a little less expensive than a paperback book when you're talking about printing a total of 1,000 copies or less. But again, when you're stamping a book, technology now allows the manufacturer to stamp the front of the case and the spine at exactly the same time, where we used to have to send that through machine twice and stamp the spine and the front. But now the prices come down and we make one stamp at once. Now, a lot of publishers, when they stamp the case, they like to put a dust jacket on it. Now, if you can get by without putting that dust jacket on it, if that book meets your marketing needs just by stamping it, you can save a lot of money. Now, looking at another option for that case that we talked about earlier is what's called a printed litho case. You basically take stock that's very similar to a dust jacket that fits around a book, and it's basically the same stock. You print it the same way in 4-color or whatever colors you want to choose, but 4-color process is the most common printing. You put a lamination on it, and then that gets glued onto boards, and that is what's called a printed litho case. You're not doing any stamping on it, but by printing it, you're saving the expense of printing that dust jacket plus the stamping, and on a typical 1,000-copy run, that will probably save you $1,000 bottom line.
Well, huge.
Doing a printed case.
So that might be perfect for kids' books.
Oh, yes.
Perfect. All right. Fabulous. And so, Dave, how do people get a hold of you?
They can call me at 734-646-2902, or my email is davr@tshore.com.
There you go, and mention that you've heard Dave through your guide through book publishing, and you're a friend of me, Judith, or Author You, and they give you special goodies with that. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Judith.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, we're back to Nancy, and she's going to talk about, in our last 10 minutes here, 9 minutes, we're going to get into one of the key points of her 5-point system that makes telling a better story a whole lot easier, which if you're a gulper, you really want to know how, because this is where people struggle. Just they so struggle. All right, Nancy.
Well, and I just want to remind folks that if they're interested in what it is that we're speaking about, you can go to authenticvisibility.com/author-u-bio, where U is the capital letter, and that will take you to learn more about Bye Bye Boring Bio Plus, which is the system we're talking about during today's call.
Perfect. And I should also add on, Nancy is going to have a killer workshop in October, and you can get information for that on her website, authenticvisibility.com. All right?
Yes, it's the Broadcast Your Brilliance webinar series, which is over 150 people have graduated and are now proudly broadcasting their own brilliance under their own power and initiative without having to pay an outside service provider to do it for them. It's really an empowering thing. But let's get to the point here about what do you need. You know, a lot of people say, I want to get on every radio show known to man. I want to be participating in teleseminars and webinars so that my message will travel far and wide. I want the local newspaper to write about me. I want to take the initiative and write columns for the local newspaper, or maybe even post articles or the first chapters of my book on ezinearticles.com. These are all great ways to share your story. And here's the thing. Not every bio is suited for every situation. So what you want to do, the 5th step, is prepare your right-sized stories and get them done in advance. Because here's what's going to happen. Once your message gets out there and it starts to take hold because it's absolutely what the marketplace needs and they want to hear more from you, your wonderful situation is going to be that every 20 minutes someone's going to be calling you and saying, what's your bio? What are the 10 questions you would like me to ask you during this interview? Where can people go to learn more about you? Where is your headshot? Where is the image of your book cover? They're going to be asking for this information from you time and time again. So you want to have it ready to share at a moment's notice. So every time you get an invitation, before the phone is even on the hook, you can say, Dr. Judith Briles, thank you so much for that wonderful invitation to share your bio expertise, my bio expertise with your audience. I can get you everything you need in one click. Is there anything else I can do to be of better service to you and your listening audience? When you are able to do that, that host is so happy they invited you to play because they're never having to worry about what they're going to ask you, what they're going to say. If they want to read your book, you've already provided it, et cetera, et cetera. That's what it is to be a joy to work with. And then when you get on the show and you deliver an amazing value, you probably will get invited back, and you'll probably have people in the listening audience that loved what you had to say so that they invite you to contribute to their program. One good thing leads to another. But if they call you and ask you for that and you don't have any of it, you have what's called the 11th hour bio scramble, message point SOS, and gosh, I wish I would have had a V8. And by the time the phone is on the hook, you're thinking, I don't even have any of that. And maybe you can't get to it for a week, and then opportunity is lost. So don't let this happen to you. Prepare your right-sized stories so you're a rock star 24/7, no matter when the call comes for you to be on the show. It is really essential, practical, and time-saving advice.
Yeah, and not only that, I'll add a version to that some stories may have a 4-minute variation, but you need to be able to trim it down to 1 minute because of time constraints. I mean, I have done more media stuff that I was supposed to be on for 7 minutes, which, by the way, is a long time for some media shows, is that all of a sudden it's 2 minutes. And the speakers consistently do that. Authors consistently do it. They run over. They don't get it. You got to trim, get it down.
Well, and here's something else. Always ask the host or whoever's invited you, what length bio is going to be perfect for your specific needs. Mm-hmm. If they say they need 50 words, you give them 49 or less.
Yes.
If they say need 2 paragraphs, you give them 2 paragraphs. And here's the other thing. On your About page of your website or your media page, every time you create a new bio for yourself, post it there with the shortest one first, and then go on, because on my site it says 6 words, 50 words, 190 words, and then it goes all the way down. But whenever I respond to a media request, I'll ask someone, what is the perfect size bio for your needs? I'll give them exactly what they ask for, and then I'll tell them, and if you need additional versions or more background, here's a place where you can go to get them. Because sometimes a host will go there to learn more about you so they can ask you a surprise question that you weren't expecting. And the beauty for you of providing that information is you're only going to be answering questions that are relevant to the content you've put out there, which is a good way to make sure you don't step in a pothole and get stuck.
You know, and I think that you mentioned surprise questions. I think it's fun if you're going to have a media page that you could give them a couple of surprise questions people don't know about you, that they want to, throw a winger out there or something just to get their attention. And I know, for example, I won the big deal on Let's Make a Deal years ago. How did that happen? What was that like? What's Monty Hall really like? Or people say, what's Oprah really like? And Oprah's confrontophobic. And my expertise in that arena was conflict issues, and she had a major hassle going on. But what are some of the inside things that people love to hear and they know? And when you can share and say, I've got some tidbits on this, I'll tell you, it's a great little hook to pull them in.
Yes, and the story I told earlier about the Tootsie Pop, I have a long bio on my website that tells that story at the very end. And sometimes people say, nobody's ever going to read that. But here's the thing. If they like the first 6 words, they're going to read the first 50. If they like the first 50, they're going to read the 3 paragraph. And if they like the 3 paragraph, they're going to read more. Because I went to some event in Dallas, wore this pretty blue dress. Some woman tapped me on the shoulder and said, aren't you Nancy Juetten? I said, well, yes, I am. She says, you know how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop, and you'll never tell. I'm so happy to meet you.
All right, and with that said, Nancy, we're going to have to close up. And I think if people really want to find out the answer to how many licks it gets to take to the center of the Tootsie Pop, what they need to do is to come to your event in October in San Francisco, or in Washington, isn't it?
Well, actually, it's a virtual event that serves people anywhere they are in the world. Broadcast Your Brilliance webinar series. But what I really want you to do, go to authenticvisibility.com/authorubio. Go there, learn about Bye Bye Boring Bio Plus. There's a place to opt in to give me your email address, and you can stay in touch with me forever and learn what else is brewing. Dr. Judith Briles, thanks so much for having me.
You're so welcome. This is Judith Briles, and it's Your Guide to Publishing. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for being a part of Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr.